am so excited to have you on the show. We've been wanting to do this for a bit, but I want to ask you, what is your intention for being here?
Here this life? Here with us.
With us. Like you chose to be here and come to the studio and sit with me, talk to whoever's listening. What's that intention?
To me, it's weaving. Because I think when we weave together, especially like-minded vibrations and a heart center, that really has this desire to help people to shine, to find their light, to embrace and overcome and transform the shadow experiences, and to find your authentic power and lean in and go. Find your wings, and let's allow this podcast to be wind underneath someone's wings to help identify where in the feminine or masculine wing there might be a little feather broken or ignored or underdeveloped that needs attention or refinement or expansion.
Welcome to the Danette May Show, where you'll receive profound breakthroughs, courage to break old patterns, and live into your soul's purpose. Each week, I will bring you epic guests and live coaching to remind you of your power. You have the ability to achieve extraordinary things, and the time to start is now.
And then let's go, babes. We have so much fun together. We've had so many intentional conversations about what we are intending personally and professionally, and then watched those dreams manifest in each other's lives and been a part of each other's families, that we're just weaving together our magic, our medicine, our truth, and our joy.
Yeah. I have to tell the story because we have so many listeners on this that are not privy to the healing experiences that we might have shared this at. But I want to say that I had a really profound experience with Anahata in Sedona. She does this. She's magic. Like she'll take you into really special spaces and then call you forward. So she takes me to what I think was the womb cave.
Birthing cave.
Yeah. And she doesn't just take you like I go hiking. She has an intentional prayer. We're going to walk sacredly on the land. And she has her little basket of goodies of either a card and an altar and something. But we're sitting in this womb cave. And then I want to go up over here. And I'm like, okay, so it looks like nothing from that vantage point. And we climb up. And then I think we should declare, because we at this time, at this date, I don't even know what year it was, neither one of us, she was not operating Shine. She wasn't even owning the building. There was no fragment of it other than in her mind. I also had no fragment of working with sound frequencies or created a manifesto. I had no fragments of it. These were our deep-seated dreams. And we were on top of this mountain overlooking Boynton Canyon. And we declared it together with the energy of the land, the energy of the ancestors. And it was such a pivotal moment for me because now I look back and go, oh my gosh, it happened. I remember you I'll be vulnerable. You told me your dream and I was like, you're going to have this building in Sedona. Like, where does this even exist? And where are you going to even get this building that with this vision you have? Like Sedona. Like, it's not like they just are anywhere. Like these buildings, or you might have to build it. And where do you build it? And she just had this very finite dream. And I've watched you create it, find the building, then restructure the building, bless the building. And now you are living that dream that you voiced with me. And it was very powerful. It's really powerful to be in witness of that whole evolution.
Thank you for that. And then at the same time, what you were saying, I see myself in big global stages, leading manifestable concerts, interactive meditations through movement and sound frequencies. And literally a couple years later, the canyon that we were looking at, you led a retreat that I co-facilitated with you, where you were literally leading Manifestival.
It was my first one to the public.
And then I led shamanic breathwork to help with the deeper emotional release and the womb clearing and activation, plus the journeys on the land and all of your inspirational talks. And literally years ago, of all of the vistas we could have been looking at, not even realizing that we would be collaborating on those very things within a few years on that very land. And so it is a testament, if you're listening, to be like, if you have that thought or an idea, there's a reason that soul seed has landed in the fertile ground of your consciousness. And it takes a lot of courage to take the next couple steps. And there were plenty of steps, I'm sure, with Manifestival and even this podcast, which wasn't even in your thoughts yet.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't even birthed at that time either.
It wasn't even a thought yet. And here it is, manifested, is and shine, sanctuary for the soul, I could feel the vibration of it. I could see golden wings painted on the wall, and they are there today.
Yeah.
And you've been in that space and experienced it, and there's been so much beautiful and transformational experiences happening there. When you say yes and take the next couple steps towards a dream that feels scary, too big, uncomfortable, that's yours. That's yours. And it will shape you into the person that you're called to be in order to manifest and birth that dream or that purpose. It shapes a new set of wings for you, because the current me could not, and you in that moment could have not manifested that without taking courageous steps, learning new things, asking for help, fumbling, like floundering, failing, succeeding, getting back up again, and continuing to move forward. And that the dream isn't easy, and it is so much more fulfilling than staying in a place that is not your vibrational truth.
Yeah. Wow. And it's true. Like, I'm still in that dream, and I'm having this crazy moment because David, who's over there watching the cameras, who I'm in his studio, I don't know how many years, like this is before I even knew you existed. I was telling him this dream on the beach in Costa Rica. And then he came full circle, helped me produce some of the songs, and worked with me to bring the vision out. Has been holding me to it. Now I'm doing DJ lessons. I'm doing all the nitty gritty work that's really hard for me because I have to do my due diligence, and then I'll be back in the studio with the education that I actually am getting to meet him where he's at so we can create this. So it's just kind of having this full moment right now. That sometimes it's messy. Like, I'm still in mine. No one's seen me on a global stage yet. And I'm still in it to process this dream. And it's been messy and it's been vulnerable. And I just watch you, though, and I'm like, she did like a brick and mortar. Like, that's like a whole nother manifestation.
You know what? And it was also on the tail end of COVID. And I just kept getting this call of open a sanctuary in Sedona for healing, transformation, and awakening.
And how long was this vision hitting you? Like, how long was this vibrating in your body?
It was recent, because I had been leading my own healing practice, and everything's good, everything's flowing, everything's abundant. And then at the tail end of COVID, with things shutting down and everything like that, then the divine guidance is open up a brick and mortar. I'm like, no.
We're in COVID.
Excuse me? I think you knocked somewhere else. Go away. I was like, hell no.
But it was coming to you. Like, just.
It would not let me go.
Oh.
And like in the middle of the night, I would be getting these visions, and I was like, and I was like, okay. Like, I just had to say, okay, if I were to say yes to this, not saying that I am, but if, what would it look like? And I got in the middle of the night, probably 2:22 in the morning, 3:33 in the morning, 4:44 in the morning. There was so much inspiration that I got my laptop, went back into bed because it was still dark, and I'm just like, and I let all of the ideas, the inspiration for the boutique, what products, what sessions, Reiki, shamanic journeys, sound healing, and different trainings, different retreats, what I wanted in the main sanctuary space, what I would want in a private healing womb room, which you've seen, what would I want in the session room, and what would I want the vibe, and what do I want? If it were to be this way, what would I want? And I just allowed universe to completely download exactly. And it was like, it was all on paper. And I was like, okay, I'm going back to bed now. And then I woke up in the morning, and I just was, Spirit kept saying, take the next 2 steps. Just take the next 2 steps. You don't need to know what happens in 2 years or in 6 months. What are the next 2 steps? And that's all I have been doing ever since that, is just the next 2 steps. And sometimes the step is to clean up a mess from the last step.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, okay, I hired too quickly. Or the system that I chose isn't working.
Yeah.
Or this is flowing, this is not flowing. And then it's just a process of refining, asking for help, listening, growing, grace, patience, accountability, maturity, and courageous action. And I still to this day am preparing new wings, new feathers all the time, of this little thing about clear communication or clear agreements. I'm just refining this again and again. But it's also the soul nourishment when you're in vibration with what you're here to do. I feel like my soul bank account is rich.
Yeah.
which is different than when you're in a place where you're just out of alignment or you're not doing what you love anymore. Maybe you used to,
right?
Or you've reached a plateau in your career or in your passion with a particular path or way of being, or there's a cycle ending and you're still staying and holding on to the past and not moving forward, then it doesn't allow that creative energy to go in the right places. And then what starts happening when there's misalignments is a secondary set of consequences, depression or anxiety or addictions, some sideways behavior, which is a direct correlation to not being in alignment.
Yep.
And then you got to clean up that stuff too. We've all done that. We're like, I don't want to deal with this, so I'm going to numb, avoid, run, hide, sedate, blame, or distract. Not that we all haven't done all of those, probably a lot. And it takes a certain level of presence and internal fortitude to say, okay, what if I don't run or hide, blame, sedate, or distract? What if I face it and take action and draw in my courage and trust and start moving forward and see what happens?
So good. It's like literally the formula. We just shared the formula and a real life example. It's literally the formula.
And when I went through my big life wake-up call in my 30s, 33.
You were in your 30s?
33.
Okay.
Not surprising. That I went through a marital liberation. If anyone has also gone through a marital, that's what I
how
called
you
it.
want to call it what you want to call it. Marital
I'm
liberation.
not calling this a divorce. I'm calling it a marital liberation.
liberation.
Dark night of the soul.
Was that a hard time for you?
For sure.
Okay.
Because the family was falling apart, and I had twins that were 3 at the time. And like everything was falling apart. And at the same time, I knew that I can't live and stay in a space that's not in alignment or in integrity. Like I was not, there was enough self-love and self-respect to say, no, this is not okay. And I chose myself, and I chose my kids, and I chose my truth. And that whole process sent me on a journey of shamanic healing, because what I was reaching for to help with my healing was falling short. Traditional therapies were not able to support me at that time. I tried different things, and I'm like, this isn't working.
This is deep.
I need something else. And also, because I'm impatient sometimes, I'm like, I need this to move, and I need it to be effective, and I need it to happen now. So the impatient part of me actually paid dividends at that point, because I'm like, all right, I was desperate enough to try anything. And so a friend of mine said, there's a shamanic healer. Check them out. And wow, this was over 25 years ago.
Whoa.
Now. This is over 25
Where
years ago.
were you at? In like what town, or where were you at?
Southern California, in Laguna.
Okay.
And so I was going to this shamanic healer, and there was so much darkness, anger, resentment, grief, frustration, not just from the marital challenges, but from all of the other things in life that I had stuffed or not dealt with, or didn't have the tools or the maturity or the readiness, whatever it is. Yeah. And I just dove in and started excavating like anger, resentment, guilt, shame, sadness, regret. And at the same time, I was also learning about personal development and accountability and neurolinguistic programming and mindset, meditation, cleansing, fasting. I was on this shamangelic, which is the trademark name that came out of this. Is the shamanic is not afraid to go into the shadow. And this is one of the things I really appreciate about you and the work that you do, is that you're not afraid to talk to, address, and face and excavate the shadow side, the darkness. And at the same time, on the other side of that, what are you putting in its place? Yeah. There's the opportunity to put in more light, more truth, more love, more spirit, more of yourself. And so that's what I call shamangelic. And that marital liberation propelled me into the work that I now do and have been doing for 25 years.
Wow.
Is like transformational empowerment work. Let's take a look at what's in the way, love. Where is the pain? Where's the anger? Where's the wound? Where's the loss? Where's the self-abandonment? Where's the addiction? And that reminds me, we have a gift for people listening that's like this guided visualization to go and support and heal and hold that inner child.
Yeah.
And so get that, because that'll you. Yeah. And a chakra balancing one, because then you can look at what parts of my life or energy body, physical, emotional, energetic, mental, or spiritual bodies are out of alignment, so that we can start to take accountability to where And for whatever reason, it's out of alignment. There's lots of reasons and lots of catalysts and experiences that create misalignment. How can we, with grace, honesty, and courage, compassion, and presence, go in and face those things and realign those things, heal, reclaim power, grow from it, and then step forward into greater alignment? So that whole time in my life propelled me into my soul mission. So I can only be grateful for it. Doesn't mean it didn't suck. It wasn't easy time, but it helped me come to terms a lot with my childhood experiences and my own choices and forgiveness for myself and others. And also, since I was clearing the density, the toxicity emotionally, or other people's energy that I was holding, or limiting beliefs or physical toxins, I was literally clearing my body in all of these ways and then bringing in new information, new food, new thoughts, new practices, new frequencies of self-love, new mindset, new tools for connecting to the divine. I was literally clearing, balancing, and awakening all of my chakras, like fast.
Yeah. And you had 3-year-old twins.
3-year-old twins.
That's
full time.
Yep.
What happened for me during that time is that my healing abilities started coming on. Clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, being able to see, feel, and hear things that I didn't have access to before, when these channels of awareness were clogged and blocked, and when my emotional body was so dense and my mental body was filled with false old programming. There wasn't a space for me to access that power and those healing abilities. So all of these abilities came on.
And you were like, whoa, I have,
Yeah, what do I do with this? So I started studying shamanism, and I trained with some of the most incredible teachers in different modalities, North America, Eastern Asia, South America, and different techniques. And this passion for shamanism and heart-centered awareness and spirituality and consciousness and manifestation all wove together.
Yeah.
And it has been a driving passion to create and support and provide shamangelic healing modalities to help people go through their own, sometimes challenges in the shadow, and sometimes they're already on the other side of that and it's okay, let's go fly. And other times it's, wow, my life is falling apart, or I just had a big divorce or diagnosis or breakup or something like that is now catalyzing the change. Even when you're not expecting it, sometimes the wake-up call shows up, and it can be so overwhelming that sometimes you just need a little help through the process. And that I love helping people through that.
Yeah, I know you do. I love that. And something we were talking about, we took a little walk a couple days ago, and we were feeling into maybe a message that would want to be shared. And we were talking in particular about womb healing and around women suppressing a lot of emotion in the womb. And I want to speak to that. A lot of people, actually, my number one podcast is my hysterectomy journey. It has the most listens. And I think it's because there are so many women, whether it's not necessarily hysterectomy, it's things going on, fibroids, ovaries, cysts, cancers, sexual pain, to inflammation, whatever the thing is that's showing physically. So I want to speak a little bit to that, because we said we were going to talk a little bit about that. Share your insights and what have you done to do a lot of womb healing? Because I know we have different pasts, but it shows up in the womb space.
Sure.
Yeah.
Power in an integrity way. And that doesn't mean full chastity or full exposure to Danette, that there is a profound connection between the womb, the second energy center. That's why so many women,
they almost look the same too. I mean, it's
for sure. And this is the water element, so that's also connected to our emotions, but also our inner child and our voice, because a lot of times we feel as women oppressed, like our voice doesn't matter, and so therefore our no doesn't matter, or our I like this, or I don't like this, or no thank you, or don't say it. And these two, that's why there's so many thyroid issues, and that's why there's also issues, because it's, well, let me take care of everybody else instead of me. Let me self-abandon to take care of. We're trained as women. I was trained by anybody else is happy to break up with that habit.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be learning boundaries and self-respect and blueprint for their truth, because that's different for everybody, and what it looks like to be in your power, in your womb, and in your sexuality in a way that is respectful and aligned for self, because there's such a wide range there. And so I just walk a woman home through the journey of healing it, looking at it, beeping towards what would it look like if I did connect my voice, what would it look like? If my womb, what might that look like? And that might look very different to a woman that is in her 30s and dating. Is the first date when we're supposed to have sex. And it might look like preparing for birth and having to look at all of those things where there was a disconnection in the womb. So
what does the woman do that's home, not coming to Sedona to see you, even though she might want to come and see you? What she knows, I raise my hand. This is me. What do I do now? What can I do now? I am in this 30-year marriage and I have abandoned. And I do know there's sexual trauma. I do know there's times I've abandoned myself and my voice. I think it's very much most women. Maybe third step to start.
I think especially if you've been feeling this for a while, start with self-inquiry so that there is a safe space. I do not like what is not okay, what does not feel comfortable, and I would start with sexually.
Okay.
Like what does not feel intimacy, or I do not like, this does not feel okay. Starting to look at what am I feeling and how does it make me feel? So I'd start with self-inquiry. I do an online course, womb healing and activation, the same kind of workshop that I did with the ladies who loved it because their eyes were just like, oh my God, that's me. I've never said no. I've never asked for what I've needed. I've been too embarrassed, or I don't know how to access those things. I felt too ashamed to start with that as well. Is a course that you can take in private. And so, and then also get some one-on-one consultations that can meet privately, because a lot of times there's a lot of guilt and shame and embarrassment around this. And I find that when you're in that place, the one-on-ones are a great place. And that is great if that's within their means to do private work and excavation. And really in the room we call the healing womb room that I put rose quartz hearts in. Start with, let me start journaling my truth and my feelings.
Yeah.
And let me start hearing
my own.
I don't feel comfortable with this. I really want more passion. Or I don't want just, I want courtship.
Yeah.
I want a date. I want to be seen, acknowledged, and respected. And women have opened their flower.
Yep.
And so we want to create that understanding of self, because you can't communicate what you want or need or like or don't like if you don't know.
Yeah. And
So
I laugh. That's like the first battle. It's like, what do you like?
Yeah.
What do you know about your truth?
And like permission.
Yeah.
Like without shame, without embarrassment. And that means you're going to be meeting your programming. Yeah. Oh, it's not okay to blank. Ask for this. It's not okay to need. It's not okay that it's more important their pleasure than my pleasure. Mm-hmm. And so is that coming from the church? Is that coming from your mom? Mm-hmm. Is that coming from your grandfather? Is this guidance system about my own sexuality, my own passion, and my own value and my worth? Is it coming from that I need to say, you're not going to guide my womb anymore, and say, okay, thanks for holding the keys, and being in the driver's seat of, and maybe that's from any of these places, religious programming or cultural, whatever it is, that says, okay, I can choose what is right from my womb now.
Yeah.
I don't have to give that power away to any other gender, any other person, any other family member. And we take ownership. We actually reconnect the umbilical cord to our own womb. And I haven't been listening. And I'm sorry you've been rolling solo. But here I am. And I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to heal together. And I'm ready to birth passion in a 30-year marriage. Whether it is, I'm ready to write a book, or I'm ready to find a new version of myself that is juicy and fabulous and joyful and free. Or birth a business, wherever you are, sister, involved in whatever you're birthing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let it be joyful. And so we want to get juicy. So one of the things that I do is kind of guide people through another visualization that has this is my garden. This is my garden. If there's weeds there, it's my responsibility to pull those out. If it's trauma, if it's shame, my responsibility to weed those things out of the garden. Responsibility to protect it.
Yeah, and plant.
And plant. That's the third part. I might not have known how to protect it before. I might not have been connected to my voice or my sacred no or my sacred yes. I might not have known myself well enough to make those decisions. But a little fence that says, say no to what comes in and out of this space, energetically, emotionally, sexually. It's my job to protect. And it's my job to seed it, weed it, And so if it's going to grow, I've got to plant the seeds of joy, passion, play. And then it's my job to make sure that I feed the seed, because I can't just plant it. It needs attention. It needs nourishment. It needs boundaries. And it means that if you're going to say yes to that, that automatically means I'm going to be saying no to other things that aren't in a seasoned accommodators will abandon our seeds to take care of other people's weeds.
Other people's weeds.
Exactly.
Not their seed.
To do something for them. And it's like, I can hear that, but it cannot be at the expense. And when we have good boundaries and we've healed those things, pulled the weeds out, we put a little gate there, we've said no, and we're prioritizing self and our dreams and our passions, which we've done by saying yes to a lot of the things we've said yes to without realizing it. There's things that just don't make the cut if this other dream becomes a priority.
That's true. And
so a whole nother level of skill is revealed or codependent that are going to that your seeds need going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. What I'm loving about this conversation and just something that's coming up in my mind is we can get really caught up in like fixing our whole life, or like, I got to fix this relationship I've been in, or I've got my health, and all these things that we can get caught up in. And what if we just simplified and said, let's just focus on our womb and know what the womb wants. Start there. And I promise, if you start there, which feels so much less complicated than the really got to think about business and all the other gamuts that come with it, that nourishment of the womb, and I can attest to this, affects the business. It affects your friendships. Like if you're tending to the womb, some friends don't make the cut. And it changes the whole drama, because you're just like, I'm here tending to a garden. I don't have time to have lunch with you. It's just a lot less complicated. Sure. And I want to invite, because I think for those who are really resonating with this conversation, just looking at the womb, going, okay, what does this womb want? What does this womb need?
And it's also our little girl self. It's our inner child. What does she need? Wow, she hasn't played in a long time. She's been busy taking care of a partner and hasn't played in a while. Yeah. Because what is Chakra is our playfulness, and our emotions and our need to feel safe and freedom to play and be creative. Well, actually, I was at the one before the one in Sedona.
Yeah, that I did fast. Come on.
Which was a blast, by the way, which is a total blast. And this is allowing the second chakra, the womb, your inner child participate in the collaboration of what is going to bring me joy, in not just what's going to bring me success or accolades, or money or whatever, play and fun, and to that self that we want to address fear if they don't feel what they need, because what you were saying, womb need, we're also asking that of what does my inner child need in order to feel safe, because those were and you notice this in your daughters, I notice this in my kids. Those years before 10 is when the brain is so creative. We'll make up, we'll plant, we'll build forts, we'll make a play, we'll have this whole scenarios, draw things, make up songs, have adventures. And what's wonderful is to watch how much creative fun. And I've watched you do that around music, and you have so much fun doing it. So that's where that inner child, along with our sexuality, merges. The creativity, inner child, emotions, and sexuality are all sitting. I think it's the most complex of the energy centers, by far. Yeah, for sure. And it's affected the most by the intimacy of a partner. And so we're also going to have, a lot of wounds there. Yeah. None of us were probably raised with a lot of conscious guidance around sexuality.
No, come on.
Either the wrong
down.
Exactly. So there's going to, because of that, we're going to have, say, precarious situations. Yeah. We're going to have some, whoops, that was awful, or that was traumatizing, or have some of those experiences that are learning experiences that are going to, because it's sexuality, and we were told, don't talk about it. Don't talk about your urges or those kinds of things.
Very taboo.
Very taboo. There's usually more because of the embarrassment or the shame associated with an STD, an unwanted pregnancy, or a trauma that we just did not have the capacity, the support, the language, and the maturity to process it. So it usually kind of went under the carpet. Yep. And so that's the healing that happens. And on the other side of that, we can access, ladies, so much of our creative meditation as well, because we're just coming home to be a rainbow again.
Yeah.
And that orange color, which is a color I just did not like for the longest time. And I was like, well, that's probably because that's where I need the
Most work.
the most healing. And that there was a lot there for me to look at. And we're coming back to this place because when we are in alignment, our safety and our community and our orange, our creativity, our inner child, our emotions and our sexuality, solid, our solar plexus, our sunshine, our radiance, our truth, our service, our light, that yellow, solid, our green, our heart, being able to give and receive, being able to share in that integrated place, not a wounded place, but from a place of truth and integrity and wisdom and unity. And then our third eye, seeing the bigger picture of even the most challenging things and seeing the possibilities of what is alive when we're co-creating and weaving in alignment, like how amazing this life is. We can see the beauty even in the most challenging things. And then being connected in our crown to a higher power, a higher purpose, a divine truth that's wiser, bigger, and guiding. Like that's alignment.
Wow. I just feel like we just took people, because I was following you, and everyone's following these sounds, the vibration of what you said, the colors, they moved up their body. That was really powerful. I'm also respecting time. I really appreciate this conversation, just sharing your insights and your manifesting and all of the womb healing and just letting women know that they're not alone in this journey. So thank you for that. One last question. You're speaking to a woman. We're just going to go with this Wisconsin woman. I don't know why I'm feeling her.
Cool.
I'm feeling her big time.
Yeah.
She's got a couple friends, but they're just more community friends. She has felt pretty alone, pretty silenced. But she's got big dreams, but she didn't ever think they would be able to come forward. She loves her man, but it's okay.
That's a large percentage of my client base. I'm thinking about, you're thinking Wisconsin, and there's one woman in particular from Ohio, exact same thing. The message I would have is find your tribe, find your truth, find your tribe, and shine bright. And do not play small. Do not give up. Like, you can make the changes in your life. And you are worthy of joy. You are capable of stepping into and creating a life where, her body, which, and just the eyes, it just was heavy. And she started coming to Sedona, and we started working on it. She now lives in Sedona. She's a Reiki master healer teacher. And every year, how to set a boundary, learning how to love herself, learning how to prioritize her dreams and herself. She just started inching towards that. And then her family started awakening too, which was really just a wonderful extra thing. That is, I'm in a life that I've participated in creating, but I don't feel alive. Like, you can, and if that there's a roadmap out of it, and it's a lot of the tools of what we've talked about. You'll find your sisters, and if you feel there's something bigger, it's because there is.
If you feel there's something bigger, it is because there is. Anahata, thank you for your heart. Thank you for your wisdom, your work, your dedication. Thank you, thank you. And thank you for everyone listening. We appreciate you. We love you. And you're definitely not alone. Until next time, we'll see you on the next episode.